like for men to set up for success? If we're talking sports, what does that look like for men to be in a war? Mm-hmm. I'm just throwing it out.
The first thing that comes to mind is how silly would it be to be in the war room alone? That I would be the only one in that war room. Now, granted, there's times where we need personal reflection and time alone with the Lord. Yeah. But when we're really ready to execute a plan, we bring other men into our lives. We bring other people into our lives to be able to gain counsel, to be able to assign roles as we go out to execute a plan that we believe we would carry out in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you're going to get into this fight, the war, especially if you choose to want to be on the front line, just know that you're going to be shot at first.
That's for sure.
Right? The enemy, and you got to have this courageous heart to ask, I want to be on the front line. And the front line is that you better get on your knees early in the morning.
Yeah.
And put on the weapon, put on the guard, and put on the
breastplate of righteousness and
everything.
Suit up, right?
You got to suit up.
This is right.
Well, it's game on.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that the war room represents a place where it's a safe place for men to come together and talk about the issues, whether it's in marriage, whether it's in business, that we would rub against each other, where we sharpen each other, to ask God to put us on the front line.
Yeah. So you talked about business. In the business world, we were chatting about this, Roland. Lowe's is headquartered here, however many locations, I don't know how many they have, but they have a war room. In the business world, that's common to put a strategy together, right? In the sports world, did you have that at Clemson? When you were in your days there, or in the days of professional football, was there a war room? What did that look like?
Yeah, it's a different kind of, we call it the film.
Yeah.
Right? But here's the thing about the war room. Not everybody on the team, not everybody in the organization knew about the strategy. Only the people that wanted to play. Right?
Wow.
Not everybody knew the strategy.
Yeah.
And so there's a group of men who choose to come together and strategize on. This is not a flippant. This is not an idea that says, "Hey, let's go and act like Jesus."
Yeah.
This is a war. This is a room in which you say, for the next 30 days, this is what we want to accomplish.
Yeah.
For the next week, I'm going to spend time washing the feet of my children. Everything is strategic. Whether it's writing a love note to your bride, everything becomes strategic. And every man that's a part of the war room has to participate.
You hit on something dead on, but sometimes this marriage thing, when you said write a letter to my bride, marriage, we think of, I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants, and I don't really pay attention to it. I don't put a strategy together or some tactics together to have a successful marriage. I'm just going to coast. And you deal with that in Christian family life. Speak to that as a husband who puts some tactics and strategy around. What does that look like in the war room?
Absolutely. And sometimes we talk about marriage and some people feel like, well, I'm not married, that doesn't apply to me. And one of the things we like to say is we've all been impacted by marriage or a lack thereof. In my case, my mom pregnant at 16, gives birth to me at 17. They get married because it was the right thing to do. Marriage doesn't last. And so now I'm impacted by a broken relationship. Raised by my grandparents, mom figuring out what she's going to do with her life. Dad is absent. And so here I am. Thankfully, God brought father figures into my life. But when the person who biologically brings you into the world has rejected you, that messes with you.
Yeah.
And so it carries over into other relationships. And so we can struggle in marriage. We can struggle with relationships in general. We're not real sure who we can really get in a war room with and have a safe place. It's funny too, we talk about transparency and vulnerability as men. And I think there's a difference. I think if I'm transparent, I'm going to share with a group of guys what I think they can handle. But when I get vulnerable, that's a deeper level. I've just shared something with a group of men that they're probably not going to be able to handle. But how important is it to make sure that the war room is a safe place?